deputy, so very happy today to present to you, dear member of the Assembly of Quebec, our members of the roundtable that we brought in order to have a little bit more insight onto what people think about the bill T523, and in order to raise maybe some pros and cons of this bill and to see how we can build from that. So first thing, there is one of our invitees today, a CEO that is very conservative, that shares the mindset and the values of, let's say, the population and their ideas. He will introduce us to the advantages of electric vehicles because he believes in it.
Hello everyone, my name is Stark. I really believe that this law can give a solution to the emission nowadays in Quebec, because for sure we have environmental benefits using electrical vehicles. Electrical vehicles have no emission inside the city, there is no noise, so there is no noise pollution, and we can also move with it very fast, because in myself I really enjoy cars. I enjoy big engines, so I know that electric cars have a very good torque and all the other aspects that electric cars. This is for the private aspect. There is also the independence in the energy. From Quebec, all our energy is green, coming from water. So for sure, going for electrical vehicles can be a really good solution for our problems. And there is also the economic advantages for the other type of peoples that are more affordable to buy energy nowadays rather than oil, so it's gonna be more efficient for low budget people and no usage.
Okay, in terms of use. Thank you, Stark, for those insights. Maybe that brings us to the insight from another member invited today, who is Zach. I think we're just gonna call him Zach. And he has some insights. He's working on the environment. He's a PhD student, and I think he wants to present us some insights.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, as we embark on the journey to make the future of transportation, it's imperative that we ground our efforts into a strong set of principles. And so today I propose that we adopt the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals for transportation to establish our criteria to evaluating transport solutions. So first and foremost, we must prioritize safety. This encompasses not only the health impacts and risks associated with the transportation, but also the safety of users and others on the road. Secondly, affordability is crucial. We must consider the costs involved both as individuals and collectively through the governments, including building, purchasing, and maintaining the transportation infrastructure. Accessibility is also another vital factor. Our transportation solutions must be equitable, weather-friendly, suitable for all ages, and available in various forms. Efficiency and effectiveness are also key considerations. We must prioritize energy efficiency, the quantity of people and goods that can be moved, the speed of transportation compared to traditional vehicles. Then resilience is also essential for ensuring the longevity and adaptability of our transportation systems. This includes factors such as durability and adaptability to available resources and ease of serviceability. And finally, we must address the emissions and environmental impacts of transportation. This encompasses air and sound pollution, preservation of green spaces, the reduction of life cycle pollution, including greenhouse gases and other air pollutants. And so by aligning our efforts with these sustainable development goals, we create transportation that will meet our current needs and for the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Zach. I think it's pretty exhaustive as to guiding and constraining the choices that we might make, and that I think if we apply these, looking at the bill that is proposed today for the General Assembly, we can consider a bit of the concerns that you just brought, and if we look at the criteria used, we might raise a couple disadvantages actually to this bill. There are around threefold: first, political, environmental, and social. So political, because having such a solution, and so I'm talking to members of the Assembly, would be a commitment to both a technical solution and to individual transport modes. If one thing has proven to not work, is what we've been doing for the past 100 years, duplicating the numbers of cars on the road, expanding the road system, having more congestion, traffic, pollution, death tied to this pollution. And now we are trying to shift these vehicles for SUVs that will have batteries, because what we see is mostly in Quebec, people love SUVs and they love their light trucks to be electrical. This is very incompatible because what we see is the only way electric vehicles can be sustainable is if they're small, light, and they're made for city transportation. So when we look at the environmental consequences, the life cycle impacts of EVs, it can actually be worse than a normal gasoline car. So finally, the social aspect, while you're right, Stark, it might bring decreasing costs while in use. It is a very, very exclusive solution because buying electric cars are, for now, very expensive. So you're reducing this solution to a technical solution, and you're excluding people that first don't have their driver license and that cannot access even money to buy such a car. So that set the stage for each and every one of our persons today to introduce us to the problems with the current systems. So I let Zach start.
Yes, thank you, dear member. Yes, we need to acknowledge that having lots of vehicles on the road is a big problem, regardless of whether or not they are electric vehicles or not. So while as you said, as we said, electric vehicles have lower tailpipe emissions during their whole life cycle. Emissions aren't the advantage compared to other solutions aren't quite as clear. And so as such, public transportation offers a more sustainable alternative to efficiently moving large numbers of people with fewer vehicles. And it is crucial that we shift our focus away from individual car ownership towards collective modes of transportation that will prioritize sustainability and equity.
Thank you, Zach. But obviously that raises a lot of political questions, because what do we do with people that have needs that might be more family-oriented and that have many activities and places to go and needs that are specific to their conditions? So maybe you can enlighten us a little bit, Ms. Renaud.
Yeah, I'll be the mother of three, and I'll be opposing the bill because I can see it convenient to have 3 kids with a dog. So imagine a day where your oldest child wants to bike to school, and then you're torn all the time thinking about to ensure the safety of the road within with low infrastructure safety, and then the other scenario, a quick drop to the nursery or daycare, and then all the time you will stop all the whole way. You stop with the toddler asking about dog when passing passing or a leaf fallen, and then you can tell it's a quick drop off without a car. And the last scenario, going to the mall on a Saturday, and at the end you will end up saying that maybe an online shopping would be a better option without a car.
Okay. Thank you for sharing your struggle with your family. Andres, our international student.
First of all, thank you for the invitation. Now, if I may share my feelings regarding this, I feel frustrated because this solution doesn't meet my needs. Speaking about having voice of these international students, first, I still consider that this doesn't take into account completely the real context and situation of the students. We have some discount on the metro for the students, but still really expensive, and we as international students, we don't have money a lot. nothing, very real. Second, it's still difficult to get around to some places with the public transport. Just in the case to go to buy some groceries, it's still really complicated. If you don't have a car, for example, this is the other scenario. I don't have a driver license, and I don't have the money to either have a car or a driver license. So it's still some limited options for that. And I just wish now today that I'm here, attending to the vulnerable attendance, someone more affordable, convenient, and comfortable way to get around to some places. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your struggle with the current public transportation system, Andres, and showing us how the EV solution is not inclusive nor equitable. Now back to you, Stark. Your opinion.
You're talking about inclusion and all the other steps. For me, this solution can also work very well. As you can see, I need my private car. I need my own freedom. You know, there is a lot of people that fight for this freedom and this lifestyle. So it can be a step backwards to remove privacy of the person. So yeah, we can do a transition that will be electric vehicles that everyone can keep his privacy, but yeah, think about the planet a little bit because maybe one day I'll have some chance. But for the moment, it's a good solution.
Okay, I understand. I understand your concern about freedom restriction and questions about equality and how we evolved and we progressed, and so now we're removing freedoms for you. So you would like to keep choices
Exactly.
for the future. So maybe we can hear one last. I'm sorry. Excuse me. Our dear and very important member of the suburb representative.
As I understand, the suburb is one of the cause of the issue for this transportation issue and with greenhouse gas emission.
Yes.
I am someone who live in the suburb, but I really do care about environment and greenhouse gas emission. However, sometimes I feel that my hands are tied, more like my feet are tied, because for example, moving within the suburb, just my city, to do groceries, to go to the library, to go to a park, it's just too long to walk, and there is no infrastructure for me to bike or e-bike. Even if I want to, even when there is public transport, it may take me 2 times, 3 times, even 5 times longer to do a trip that's 8 minutes by car. How do I choose? My mind is struggling. So that is just within the suburb. I also work in the city. I need to go to the city. I need to get to the city at least 3 times a week. However, same thing. It takes me 2 times, if not 3 times longer to take the public transport and does not reduce any cost and is not more comfortable. That's just to get to one major city. Imagine going to rest of the other major cities in Quebec or go to the suburb across the river. That's just become really impossible for 45 minutes of car can become 3 hours, if not 5 hours of public transportation. That makes no sense, and it pains my heart because I cannot reduce my carbon footprint.
I feel your concern. I hear you for intra-city, especially inter-city travel and representativeness of options for diverse publics. So we have a final intervention for
My
the.
name is Jusha Nadi, so I'm representing the people who chose the lifestyle that's to escape from the pollution and the chaos of the city. So I'm living up in the mountain with my golden retriever, and I mean, it's like we still need to feed ourselves to get the protein and the gains for me and my dog. And just getting grocery or going to school is already a hike, like 3 hours. Even though I get my steps in, it's literally not practical for me to go to school every single day. And plus, the winter, the road in Montreal, like, come on, like, forget about this. And so, I would like to find a way to keep our mountain, my lifestyle, but as well do the thing I can gain the muscle from me and my dog.
Okay, so I understand you would like to have better access to nature from the city and be able to go in and out without having to rely on being stuck in traffic and the hours of traffic that we have to face every weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you. A couple days later, we're back in front of the assembly to showcase the solution that we co-created with the users. So here's our proposal for the sustainable transportation system of Quebec. So we would like to have an approach that's inspired from the bullseye concept. So should have been before, we're going to start with that. So started in Virginia County, this idea is really about developing public transport options and matching them with urban development around, including offices, a variety of access to services, goods, all greatly interconnected to the public transport. The idea is to expand it to the whole Windsor Quebec corridor, connecting at the same time with train transportation, considering the opportunities that the government has showcased in interest in this high-speed rail train to connect these cities, because we're tackling 50% of users that live, or 50% of the whole Canadian population. We have a huge impact, like we're trying to maximize the efforts ratio towards impact. So we're applying this concept to the Windsor-Quebec corridor. We would like to think about a solution that includes freight consideration, so moving goods, and at the same time moving people. We're going back. We want to include consideration of our rural and urban, because they're both pretty important, especially when we consider freight delivery. Intracity and intercity, as we could see, those are challenges for everyone. And so considering the freight aspect, so the bullseye concept really consists of leveraging the circle formation to optimize the delivery and the trip times. So here you can imagine hubs that could receive medium to large heavy trucks to receive all the products and all the goods, the food and everything you might think about from the port. They would be at the inner outer ring of the city. That way you don't bring trucks inside the city, you avoid the very bad pollution that they're making, and you switch to light vehicles, so obviously regulation around light vehicle, but you have to accompany businesses to shift. So a huge fund has to be made available for these businesses to finance these options. We can imagine the train deliver the other option, and so that's an example. For the urban mobility system, what we thought is the concept of a village in the city. So what you see is a neighborhood that are associated with the little villages. The idea is to leverage the 15-minute city concept, where you would minimize the use of resources and emissions, because you could do everything working using soft modes that don't need much resources to build or to use. We would aim for externalities-free cities, but that will require a legal solution. So shifting cost of road to users, and while we shift toward the next system, they have to assume all the cost, and that can partly finance. We have to make sticks, so incite people by making their life a little harder and directing the behavior towards adopting better habits, but without forcing them. So you can still take your car, but because there are carpool lanes and there are more of it, if you don't carpool and you share the mode and are several in your car, you're not actually able to go on that lane, and you have to make twice or 3 times the same time to do the same amount of distance. And finally, we're gonna try to aim change social behavior, promoting a platform, and maybe I'll let the users a bit expand on it.
Actually, the platform that we developed based on the exchanges with the different users and with our software engineers in Stark Industries are aiming to give alternative solutions to the different problems that we face. The first alternative solution would be buying the groceries that had been shown raised by Andres. Take our groceries depending on the weather. It can be complicated if you don't have a car, like you said. So what we propose here is that you can rent either an electric vehicle punctually to bring your groceries, or a bike, or even an e-bike if you don't want do some sports to bring your groceries. And the last option will be to get your groceries delivered directly to your home. For sure, you will have to pay different services depending on the solution that you are going to choose, and this can be one our main solution for the application for the groceries for the grocery issues. If you decided to use a bike, you have also an option that can make you the best way or the best path to go to your shop and coming back to home. So that's the one main objective of.
So that would be for the problem of getting groceries or getting food.
Yes, exactly.
We have thought about this platform, of this application, also as a way for users either to share the mode they own, or as a way in those little villages conceptualized by the circle inside the picture we showed you. We would like to implement a collective of citizens that would represent the people in this neighborhood that could vote on a selection of modes and have access, all of them, so maybe it could be between 5 and 10 cars per neighborhood that would be shared among all the citizens. The modes would be picked by this collective of citizens, so if you have more families, then maybe you can have more modes that are adapted for families, so the bikes with the little things, carriage for the kids, or all this type, but that would be a diversity of mobility that are soft, electrical, or if needed, they could be also, we're not excluding gasoline cars, because really, like if you're going to a chalet or something, we don't want to replace every single car by electric one. We would think that it would be very bad just to do this replacement. So in some situations, when the emissions or there is no electric alternative, we will consider it's not about forbidding anything, it's about being adaptive and trying to think different than owning individual cars. It's about rethinking and sharing the modes that we have to make a intelligent use. And so that's it. To summarize, we aim for a 15-minute neighborhood, efficient intermodal public transport that should be able to fulfill all needs, including intracity, intercity, at least on the corridor that we mentioned, in order to facilitate mobility to the maximum for passengers and inside cities. And we would aim for the freight for rail, leveraging the rail for long distance, as well as some consideration of maintaining heavy trucks, potentially shifting towards hydrogen on certain roads that are used a lot to optimize, because those infrastructure costs extremely expensive. And we look to shift toward lighter trucks in metropolitan areas in order to decrease the externalities tied to their usage. So for our creative process, we established criteria. I think we started to make a bunch of alternatives. Then we started kind of in parallel to do different things for question 1, 2, and 3. Dr. Sophie, she gave us ideas on doing the persona that we followed. And then we saw how the context and the scenario could fit with our deliverables. So that's why we exposed the pros and cons with the opinions. Then the personas showed us the challenges they faced with the current system, and we tried to match with the solution the challenges that raised by this persona. And we built on an existing concept, the TOD, that worked and that was extremely efficient in Virginia. So we thought that maybe it's applicable to the Canadian context. Thank you.